No more can be traded. My heart's have been spaded. I'm not too prideful to up and leave. You've been all complacent. The tides have been changing. Love is just patience, and for you.
What's up, Bookmas? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you guys the fantasy books that had me in an absolute chokehold. Now, most of these are part of series and going to be a series, but it's just all of them. And most fantasy books are a series or a duology, so it's just these are the ones that I just love the world. I love the characters. I just love everything about these books in this series in general. And I'm just chef kiss. They just chef kiss. That is all I have to say. They're chef kiss. And I want to share with you my favorite fantasy series so far that I've read that had me in an absolute chokehold. So we're gonna start right over here with the most talked about series of all time, and that is A Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. All of her books we have me in a chokehold, especially this series right here. I love Selena Shardafian. I have to read the last 3 books, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. Those are the last 3 books that I have left in this series, but I don't want it to end. So I am so scared to read them because those are some big books. Like, those are some huge books. And most of Sarah J. Maas books are over like 500 to 600 pages, which I absolutely enjoy because it gives me more time with the characters. Like, I love a quick romance read, but a long fantasy read because I just love the characters so much when I get invested into the books. So Throne of Glass is one of those series that just have me in an absolute chokehold with every character that's come and gone through this book or through this series. I absolutely love. Now, my order of this series, and I'm gonna stand on this order of the series, is I read Assassin Blade first, and then I went to Throne of Glass. I feel like those short stories, getting those short stories in the background of Selena sets you up for the rest of the series. So I personally read the Assassin Blade first, and then I went on. But I know a lot of people like to read like 3rd or 4th, but to each his own. Now, for another Sarah J. Maas book, and this baby is a chunker. It is Crescent City's House of Earth and Blood. When I first got into book talk, I read this book like when I first got into reading books. This was the first book one of the first books I read. Besides, I started off reading Colleen Hoover, and then this right here was immediately after Colleen Hoover. And I really enjoyed Bryce and all of her friends, Hunt, everyone in this world. I absolutely enjoyed. I cannot wait till the next book come out in January because I didn't know what happened. I feel like I need to go back and do a reread before it come out. But I think it come out next month, if I'm not mistaken, like the end of the month. So maybe at the beginning of the month, I'll be focused on rereading this series. The first 2 books, The House of Earth and Blood and The House of Sky and Breath. I think that's the name of it. The House of Sky and Breath. So, I wonder what's the name of the new one. And the crazy thing is, she basically give away the name of her books in the beginning of this one because the 4 houses. So the next one I think is The House of Flame and Shadow. And I can't wait to read that. So, yeah. So since we on Sarah J. Maas, let's go ahead and skip on over to A Court of Thorns and Roses. This entire series, I finished this entire series. I love Phaedra. I love Rising. I love what's his name? Oh, what is this guy named? Cassian. I just love everybody. The Found Family. Like, this series right here has a special place in my heart, and I absolutely devoured this series. I read these series like back to back to back. Like, once I put this one down, I picked the next one up, put that one down, and then I think the last book I read was the blue one, A Court of Frost and Starlight. And it took me a good little minute to read A Court of Silver Flames, which is Cassian and yeah, Cassie and Nesta book. Nesta. It took me a minute to read that because I was scared. That book is huge. That book is huge, and I was scared. So yeah. Now this one is a newfound favorite. It is the Queen. I'm saying the Red Queen. When I read this series, when I tell you, see, this is how I know I love a series so much is when I read it, when I read the first book in it, and I feel like I have to binge the series. I binged this whole series. No books in between. I binged this whole series. I love the crap out of Red Queen. If you haven't read Red Queen yet, please read it. It is so freaking good. I enjoyed the hell out of this book. Like this was one good book. Like one good series. I'm gonna say series because the whole series in entirety is good. I enjoyed it. I just don't know. Like I just don't even know how to explain it. I just enjoyed the crap out of this series. So if you haven't read Red Queen, you need to get your hands on it. It's basically about humans, and I guess you would call them, red bloods and silvers. That's what they call them, reds and silvers. Reds are regular humans. Silvers are the ones that don't have powers. But then come Maribero, who ends up with red blood but with silver abilities, and she's kind of this anomaly, and they don't know how she ends up with power but with red blood. So they make her end up marrying, I guess, like the prince. Well, making her date the prince and saying that she's going to marry the prince or whatever. It is a love triangle with the brothers in here. It's just, oh, Chef Kiss. Oh my God. This series is so freaking good. If I ever do a giveaway of any of my favorite fantasy series, this is most definitely going to be in that giveaway. So if I ever get around to do another giveaway on my channel, that is going to be that. Now, the next book is Powerless. It gives me Red Queen vibes, where it's like the reds and the silvers, but they call them the elites and the ordinaries. Same gist. The elites and the ordinaries. The ordinaries are regular humans. The elites are human with powers and abilities, where this girl Peyton has to go through trials, but she don't have any abilities at all, and she know how to fight because her dad taught her how to fight. Now that's where Prince Kai come in, and he has to kill all the ordinaries, but he's a softie. Kai is a softie. I love Kai. I love this series. Well, this book. It is going to be a series. I think the next book come out is Reckless, but it don't come out until like the middle of next year, which is crazy wild to me. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. If you haven't read Powerless by Lauren Roberts, you need to get your hands on it and read it as soon as possible because chef kiss. The next book is, of course, Fourth Wing. If you don't know anything about it and you've been on the rock, you know everybody and their moms loves Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing was just one of those books that had everyone in a chokehold for a long time. And Iron Flame came out. I'm currently in the mood. What? I'm currently in the middle of reading Iron Flames right now, so I can't say much about that one. But this one right here, it was so good. I love Liam. I love Zayden. We hate Dane. Every time you see me talking about this book, that's what we're gonna say. We love Liam. We love Zayden. We hate Dane. Period. 5-star. This book was. So that book right there had me in an ultimate chokehold after reading it. Now, this right here is like one of my all-time favorite reads, and it is Legend Born by Stacey Dion. This is like another one of those books that I read early on when I first got back into reading. This has a special place in my heart. I love Brie. I love watching her get to know her backstory with her family and figure out her abilities and all that stuff. I just love watching her go through her growing period, I guess you would say. This book is just so good to me. I absolutely enjoyed this book. I love Bloodmark. I really hate that the next book in this series don't come out until 2025, which is crazy. Wild to me that it comes out so long. Like, that's a whole extra year that I have to wait to get back into this series. So I know, once again, I'm going to have to do another reread. So before I read Bloodmark, I ended up rereading Legend Born. So now I'm going to have to reread both of them because I just don't even remember what be going on in these books for real. But I guess when I reread it, when I'm rereading it, I be like, oh, okay, I remember that. Oh, okay, I remember that. But then again, I kind of pick up on some things that I kind of skipped over when I was reading it the first time. So Legendborn is one of those series that's going to forever have me in a chokehold. Tracy Dion is going to forever have her hand around my throat, and I'm okay with that. Now, the next book is A Dance of Thieves. I finished this book, and the crazy thing was when I finished. Now, first of all, let's talk about how I would never make that mistake again. This book taught me not to make that mistake ever again. I purchased this book, and I purchased this book only. Now, the next book in here is Violet Thieves. I read this book, I enjoyed the hell out of this book, and I did not have the second book to go into. And when I went to look for it, to buy it from Books A Million, they didn't have it in stock. I think I went like 2 or 3 weeks without the second book in this series, and I was very much distraught because I really wanted to dive back into this. Like, this right here gives me the true definition of enemies to lovers. This series was everything. If you have not read Dance of Thieves, read it. First of all, read all the books that I'm telling you in this book if you haven't read any of them. But most definitely read Dance of Thieves. This is like the true definition of enemies to lover. I absolutely love this book. I read this book like, I want to say like the beginning of the year or the end of 2021. I think the beginning of 2022. No. The end of 2022 or the beginning or 2023. That's when I read this series. I don't remember, but it is so good. Like, first of all, one thing about it, I love me a good fantasy enemies to lover, because it gives true enemies to lover, like, I'm going to kill you vibes, and like, I'm trying to take your life type of enemies, and then they end up having to work together for some type of crazy odd reason and end up falling in love. I eat that type of stuff up. The last book that I want to talk about is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. It is The Valley of Never After. Now, this book right here alone, Jax. I know y'all gonna get tired of me talking about The Valley of Never After, because any video I do from the end of the year, well, around this time, is going to most likely have this book in it, because this book right here was a 5-star read for me. This was the only 5-star read in that series for me, but the series of a whole is a 5-star read, if you get what I'm saying. But this book right here, it was so packed full of action. You got to see a lot of Jax. You got to see Evangeline and him kind of trying to solve some type of mystery or whatever. It just was so freaking good. I just absolutely love this book in that series. So if you haven't read the whole Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I suggest you read it. But this book right here was my favorite of all of them. And so far, those are the only fantasy books that I've read so far that had me in an absolute chokehold. Ones that I just cannot get over. In any book that come out in that said series, I am going to read, because I absolutely enjoyed the heck out of the ones that I read in that series. So yeah, comment down below and let me know some of your fantasy books that had you in a chokehold, and you know, to add to my ever-growing TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'm calling bullshit. Say you got it, but you ain't got nothing. Bad bitches don't